Do begin here tonight with that controversy over this piece of land down in Miami-Dade County in the Everglades. The governor touting it as Alligator Alcatraz. Good evening. Welcome to ABC Action News at 5. I'm Paul.
So for those of you, real quick, for those of you who don't know, right now what we're checking out is Alligator Alcatraz. It's opening in Florida, and it's going to be the ICE detention center in the Florida Everglades. And they're saying this is guaranteed cruel and terrible conditions. And it's going to have trailers and tents. And hurricane season is approaching. So they're like, how is this going to work? Well, let's watch.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thanks for joining us. Lauren has the night off. President Donald Trump landing in Florida this morning to tour this facility. It's at the old Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport in Ochopee. That's in South Florida between Everglades City and Miami. Fencing and barbed wire surround this site, and inside there are rows of trailers, portable bathrooms, and tents filled with beds.
The facility can house up to 3,000 migrants. President Trump today praising the facility, but it's drawing increased criticism.
We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation.
This is a environmentally destructive and spiritually poisonous prison camp that they want to construct on sacred land in sensitive habitat.
Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders has a look tonight at the facility's plans for immigration enforcement and the criticism from its critics.
Tuesday was pure political spectacle outside and inside, as the so-called Alligator Alcatraz migrant detention and deportation facility officially opened its doors amid protest.
This is a environmentally destructive and spiritually poisonous prison camp.
And praise.
This is a great location for this. We have 1 million illegals in Florida.
The president, governor, state attorney general, Homeland Security.
This is you can just look at something and tell it's going to end bad. You can just look at certain things and be like, this is going to end so bad, bro. Like, what? In the Florida Everglades, and all y'all got is tents and trailers, and the hurricane season is coming. Makes it make sense, man.
Secretary, U.S. representatives, and even right-wing social media influencers all in attendance.
I just want everyone to know that there's official Alligator Alcatraz merch. There it is, provided to us by the state of Florida.
Well, I'd like to just thank everybody for the incredible job they've done.
For what at times looked more like a GOP red carpet event than a holding facility's ribbon cutting, with President Trump hosting a roundtable and earlier,
Biden wanted me in here, okay? He wanted me. It didn't work out that way.
Touring the temporary facility. Officials boast it has a max capacity of 3,000 detainees, 1,000 staff, 28,000 feet of barbed wire, and more than 400 security personnel, plus laundry, clergy, legal resources, and 24/7 AC.
Even if they get brought to the front doorstep here, they still have an opportunity to just go back voluntarily.
This is going to end bad, bro. This is crazy. Like, you can just look at it and you know, like, all right, yeah, it's the first week, first day, or whatever. Yeah, y'all gonna make it look good, but y'all know what's finna happen. Them AC units gonna stop working. There's gonna be inhumane conditions going on in there. Y'all gonna not feeding them. The bathrooms is gonna be clogged up. It's gonna get crazy, and y'all know that.
And then this way, they're not.
Let's say they get in here and they're like, hey, I want to stay here. I want to go back.
We can put them on a plane that day and take them home. We'll buy their plane ticket, go home, and then they get the chance to come back legally.
The state says it's set to take its first migrants here on Wednesday, though a group of environmentalists is suing in federal court to shut down the spot ASAP. They say the government failed to do an impact study or receive public comment on the project.
It's pretty clear here that more thought was put into the cutesy name for this project than the significant environmental impacts of dropping a massive detention center in the middle of the Everglades.
That's as immigration attorneys fear those sent to this place will lack due process.
Right now, the most frustrating thing is to watch immigrants be used as a pawn in this very unfair game that is just gutting the American legal system and due process as we know it.
Florida's governor and Trump have dismissed the concerns. Republicans believe they're delivering on a voter mandate from the last election. But how this will all impact the next election remains to be seen. In Tallahassee, Forrest Saunders, ABC Action News.
Trump is different, bro. Trump is different. So they say that's going to cost $450 million a year to run. $450 million a year to run, y'all. Hold on.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Earlier on today, President Trump visited a very controversial new migrant detention facility in the Florida Everglades. He was flanked by DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, amongst others. Let's take you right now out to Caroline Shively with this report of the tour there in South Florida.
President Trump touring Alligator Alcatraz Tuesday, a new migrant detention center near the Florida Everglades.
We're surrounded by miles of treacherous swampland, and the only way out is really deportation.
The 3,000-bed state...
Oh, that's dark, bruh. That's dark. Trump said, I'm going to put y'all surrounded by swamps, alligators. So if y'all even try to leave and get up out of here, you're not going to make it, buddy. Only way out of here is deportation. Whoa. You know how dark-minded you have to be to think of something like that? Like, let's put them in the middle of the Everglades where they're surrounded by swamps with gators, and if they try to leave and run, the gator's going to take care of them. Dang. Trump is cold.
Facility will be the largest in the country, right next to an airstrip, with Florida National Guard members deputized as immigration judges.
They come here, say they already or been ordered to be deported. You drive them 2,000 feet to the runway, and then they're gone. It's a one-stop shop.
The detention center is in the Big Cypress National Preserve, home to alligators, water moccasins, and Burmese pythons. The president has suggested the local wildlife will discourage any escapes. Not so, say some protesters trying to protect the Everglades.
This is not a scary place. The alligators and the pythons will not be security guards. They are absolutely terrified of people.
It's not good for the water. It's not good for the wildlife and the habitats.
Illegal border crossings have plummeted under the Trump administration, and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem says the tough federal stance is leading to an increase in self-deportations.
We believe it's over 1 million, possibly more than that.
A Fox News poll released Monday finds that 67% of Americans are concerned about illegal immigration, but a separate Fox survey says 53% think the administration has gone too far in its enforcement. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Let me ask y'all, do y'all think that they have went too far with this Alligator Alcatraz? Yes, no. Did they go too far with this? In your opinion, is this, all right, we get it, Trump. You trying to deport, you don't want the immigrants. But is this going too far, putting them in the middle of the Everglades? Is that going too far in your opinion?
All right, thank you so much. And it is a new concept expected to open this month in July. And you can look right now live there at the Everglades in South Florida, courtesy of our Earth Camp partners. As you can see the sun setting on this region after President Trump visiting this, talking about immigration and much more. And we also saw more from the DHS, from Homeland Security on social media, as well as they posted this AI-generated image of those alligators, talking about Alligator Alcatraz wearing the Immigration and Customs Enforcement hats. Let's take you out to a conversation I had, a very interesting...
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. ICE has really been tripping lately, man. Like, they really, tripping. That gotta be Trump full on. Listen, they had a meeting. Hey, turn this up times 1,000 on these. I need y'all to go out there and turn up times 1,000. Because they are out here just wilding. Look at this. And they just, now y'all done made this, and y'all got the alligators wearing the ice hats. And these dudes is crazy.
one, talking about the wildlife, exactly talking about that and what it means for this area. What's it all about? What might be lurking there in the swamps? Let's listen into this. In here too, live now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Casually called Alligator Alcatraz, the controversial temporary migrant detention facility will open this month in July in the Florida Everglades, and it's surrounded by those natural barriers, surrounded by swamps filled with alligators, pythons, and other dangerous creatures. As they made this announcement, President Trump was on the ground in the Florida Everglades in this remote region. You can see some of that terrain there is very dangerous, and much like the Alcatraz in San Francisco, this facility also has a natural barrier around it. Let's continue this conversation and dive into some of the wildlife. We're going to be joined right now by global wildlife expert, TV host, conservationist Forrest Galante. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And it's called Alligator Alcatraz. What kind of dangers, what kind of wildlife is out there in the Florida Everglades?
Hey, is this dude AI, man? Why you sound like a robot? Andy Mack might be AI. You sound like a robot. Hey, I do believe they're finna start doing this. Newscasters and AI for sure. It's giving AI right now.
Is that Everglades ecosystem, but it's not an area to be taken lightly. I mean, in addition to alligators, there are much scarier American crocodiles, the invasive Burmese pythons, there's diamondback rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, mountain lions, black bears, snapping turtles. Believe it or not, there's even bull sharks that will roam into the Everglades. So there is a plethora of wild predators that actually will sort of protect and insulate or keep people at least from escaping from this Alcatraz, and that's before you talk about the crazy heat and the inclement weather that Florida has. I mean, it really is a sort of an island over there.
And can we talk about it? Because you listed off all those predators out there. How do they all fit? How do they coexist in this environment?
Well, because the Everglades is such an incredible wetland and vibrant ecosystem, it's able to support an amazing abundance of life. And so that includes small prey animals, mesopredators like raccoons and possums, and then that feeds the entire foundation for all of these larger predators. Now, a lot of those are native, like the alligators and the rattlesnakes, but then you add in things like the Burmese pythons.
This is gonna end so bad, y'all. I'm telling y'all now. This got all signs of something terrible was gonna happen written over it. Just a whole, like, I know they have to know that. What? Rattlesnakes, all these poison, like, do you think they're not gonna make their way into those cages? Things aren't going to make their way into those cages. All right.
Recent evidence that more and more bull sharks have been moving into the Everglades, and you just have this sort of perfect storm of American predators all in one location that makes it unbelievable. And all those things are hungry because they're all competing for food. So it's not a great place to go wandering around.
No, it is not. And so many teeth, so much venom is in there. Can we talk about the alligators first? Because they're obviously the American alligator, different kind of part.
Look how happy they are talking about this. This is kind of like, like they really excited. Like they flexing the animals, like they doing a whole news broadcast on. Let's talk about how deadly the animals are around there, man. We need to talk about this. Let's highlight that. Let's highlight how deadly these animals are that we're going to put all these people in the midst of. That's gotta, hey, this is dark. Trump is really burnt out, bro. Really burnt out.
Parts of the alligator. Can you talk specifically about what the alligator brings? Because we know it's been around for millions of years growing. How big can they be? How long have they been around? And how have they really adapted to be this predator that they are?
Yeah.
Why are they talking about this? Like, really think about that. Why are y'all highlighting the alligators? What's the point? What? That's what I don't get. Like, why are y'all highlighting the alligators, bro? Tell us how tall they are. Tell us how big they get. Tell us how much they can eat. Like, what is that about?
I mean, there are reports of alligators getting up to 20 feet. More realistically, they get up to about 13 or 14 feet. They can weigh upwards of nearly 1,000 pounds, so they can be big, heavy predators. They have an incredible jaw pressure of around 2,000 psi. And when they bite, like most crocodilians, they latch down and they go into a death roll. And so if you're bitten by one, the way that they actually kill you is not with that size. It's not with that force or those incredible teeth. It's from that roll, which actually rips limb from body. And so it's a very brutal way to go. So if you ever are bitten by an alligator, make sure you roll with it, because that is the sort of finishing move that they have to take out any prey species, and that includes an unlucky human being.
Yeah, and of course, you can see some of them in the water on land. How can they adapt to be in both places? Because I know they get on the land because they have to, they're cold-blooded, they do these sorts of things. How do they work both in water and on land?
Yeah, well, as ectothermic reptiles, they require moving out on land in order to use the sun for energy. However, they're aquatic by nature. They're an ambush predator that lives in the water and will ambush things by being incredibly stealthy and silent and moving under the water. So they've really filled this incredible ecological niche of a predator that is very well suited to being in water and on land. And that is what has made them the apex predator of the Everglades for millions of years, as you pointed out.
Yeah, and talking about reptiles, let's move over to snakes, because we know talking about pythons and different...
Bro, why are they highlighting all the shit? What is this about? Why y'all highlighting all the animals that surround there? Like y'all increasing like the fear? Is that the goal? Let's increase the fear. So when immigrants see it, they know this is not where they want to go, so they're not going to come. Because what's the point of highlighting how deadly each animal is, the size, what they could do, what's their kill techniques, what's like what? You're talking like it's an amusement park. Like it's a zoo or amusement park or something. That's crazy, man.
Venomous snakes on the ground. What types exist in the Everglades? How big can they get?
Yeah, I mean, there are the native species like your cottonmouth, your eastern diamondback rattlesnake, your pygmy rattlesnake, and then the one that everybody's talking about is the invasive Burmese python, which was brought in for the pet trade. A storm broke down, at least as the common belief, and released those animals. Now they've gone rampant in the Everglades. There's estimated to be somewhere upwards of 500,000, 300,000 or so Burmese pythons living in the Florida Everglades. Now, that's a nice one that you're seeing on screen there, but they can get
500,000. Golly. 500,000?
To nearly 20 feet long and weigh hundreds of pounds. So, you know, they're a big snake, 250 pounds or so they can weigh up to. So they are a pretty deadly predator. And in certain parts of the world, like the Philippines, there actually have been documented killing and eating people. So they just add to this whole thing. And that's before we even talk about the mammals, right? Then we've got bears, we've got mountain lions, the weather, as we mentioned, bull sharks that have been moving in. There are just so many incredible creatures in the Everglades.
Yeah, that is...
So many incredible creatures out there. Bro, this is like a killing field. It's like they're preparing one big meal for all those animals. Ain't that what it feel like right now with them too? Look how excited they are. Like, tell them what's out there. Oh, bears, mountain lions. It's snakes 20 feet, 500,000 of them. Alligators, they can twist and snap your finger. You better roll with them. Ooh, it's like they're promoting like what's to come. It's only a matter of time before they move in or something. Like why are they talking about it like that? That's crazy.
So very impressive. You won't want to come across anything like that. You wouldn't want to come across anything
you
like
wouldn't,
that.
Andy. You wouldn't. I'd love to. I'd love to go trek through the Everglades and try and survive from Alcatraz. I think that would be incredible.
Let's talk about that, because as you mentioned, just the surrounding there.
Listen to the words he just used. I would love to go out there and try to survive. He's telling you. Bro, you have to try out there. You got to try to survive out there, bro. So now you're going to put I would love to go out there and try to survive. Man, hey, Cole. Why y'all putting them people out there like that? Why y'all setting this up? Y'all know this is finna go bad, man. All the signs are pointing to this is about to go bad.
It is a very remote location. You talk about some of the animals, some of the wildlife, but just talk about the environment, the terrain, the swamp. How dangerous is just that?
Extremely. You know, first of all, getting lost is incredibly likely. You cannot drink that water, so dehydration in that hot Florida sun is a high risk. The weather is very unpredictable across the Everglades. That's what makes it a wetland, right? Thunderstorms, heat and humidity, potential hurricanes, lightning storms, flooding, there's fires. In addition to all of that, you have some of the worst insects on the planet.
What? What? Did y'all just hear that breakdown? Oh, come on, man. Did y'all just hear that breakdown? The whole weather breakdown. Then he threw it on top of that. It's the worst insects in the world. How are y'all gonna stop this? Y'all cold. This is cold. What they doing, bro? Look at this breakdown. Let's listen to this again, man. Let's hear this again, man.
You cannot drink that water, so dehydration in that hot Florida sun is a high risk. The weather is very unpredictable across the Everglades. That's what makes it a wetland, right? Thunderstorms, heat and humidity, potential hurricanes, lightning storms, flooding, there's fires. In addition to all of that, you have some of the worst insects on the planet, toxic stinging plants, biting mosquitoes, ants that are absolutely terrible. And so if
Listen. We all see what's going on here, right? By now, after hearing this breakdown from this dude, y'all see what's going on here, right? We gonna paint it up to look like it's something, you know, a center to where we can take them. But really, this is torture. We gonna make this so crazy that if you choose to stay, you will die. If you choose to stay, you will die. But there's a strip right here. We can fly you where you're from today. You want to go back? If not, have at it. Killer ants, killer mosquitoes, terrible everything, fires, floods, hurricanes, flooding. Oh, man, what? Yeah, we just gonna put y'all right here. Alligators, snakes, the worst heat, possible fires. Yeah, we just gonna put y'all right here, though. That is literally like, hey, you're gonna get there and they're gonna show you just how bad it is that you're gonna be like, all right, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to leave. Get me out of here. Deadly ants and deadly mosquitoes, bro. Come on, man. Jeez, golly.
if you were to actually get out of Alcatraz, you're then standing in nipple-deep mud with water overhead, alligators around, all of these things that I just mentioned that can kill you from exposure, all these things that can kill you as predators. I mean, it really is a fantastic isolationist location, because getting out from there on foot for most people is practically impossible.
And can I ask you, because it's aptly named Alcatraz because of what is going on in San Francisco, everyone knows the rock that is out there. Which one is more difficult to try to get out from? Would it be the Alcatraz of San Francisco or the Alcatraz of Florida?
In today's modern world, with white shark populations where they are, which is the inhibitor in the San Francisco and Alcatraz, I would say that your likelihood of surviving the swim from Alcatraz in San Francisco to the mainland is greater than surviving escaping Alligator Alcatraz.
All right, very good. I just wanted to get you about that. We talk about alligators, different animals like this. Is it the smaller creatures, kind of like you mentioned with some of the...
So basically, you treat immigrants worse than serial killers and I mean, hey, man, you just said it, man. You just said it. Dang. Dang. They treating them worse than they treating serial killers, mass murderers. Dang. Dog, look at all the stuff that's around. Like, dang. Like, when he really broke that down, that really, all right, I heard of this. I heard of it, but I didn't look into it. And now I'm here looking into it with y'all, with the spit. I'm like, Alligator Alcatraz. I've been seeing it, but I didn't research it. So now, wow. You would think just alligators. No. That's the least of your worries, buddy. Alligators is the least of your worries. We're going to put you over here with these snakes, with these ants, with these mosquitoes, with these fires, floods. Inhumane. Terrible, terrible heat conditions. Jeez. How y'all think this is going to end, man? How long do y'all think this is going to last? That's a better question. How long do y'all think this is going to last? How long do y'all think Alligator Alcatraz is going to last? Kind of crazy.
Mosquitoes, some of the bugs, could that really be the most dangerous part? Is that fair?
I think the most dangerous part when it comes to those insects is actually the mental degradation that would take place. When you're being bitten by tens of thousands of mosquitoes, all constantly, all the time, the frustration, what you're feeling, then you add the heat stroke and you add the bad weather, all of these things compound in a survival situation to leading to you making poor decisions like, oh, I'll just swim across this murky pool, or let's just take this shortcut because I'm so frustrated and I've been so mentally degraded from going through these difficult conditions. And it's those poor decisions that then lead to the negative encounter with a predator that can be life-ending.
Bro, this is a setup. It sounds like a setup. Tens of thousands of deadly mosquitoes. That's going to make you make weird decisions and make you think I can swim across this Everglade. And then I'm going to get ate by one of these predators. This is like Squid Games, y'all. This is like American Squid Games. They're really running to see who can survive this. And they're probably taking bets. I guarantee somebody in the back end is taking bets, bro. Somebody's, I bet, woo-de-woo, they're not going to last longer than, this is crazy.
So it's sort of a combination of factors. When you compare that to, say, San Francisco, it's like, well, can I make the swim? It's going to be cold. There may be a great white shark. But that's not as many compounding factors as you're facing with the Alligator Alcatraz.
Yeah, the mental kind of load of all of that and trying to figure out how to do it would be very taxing. You've traveled around the world. You've seen different environments, and the Florida Everglades are certainly unique. Does it compare to anywhere else? And how similar would it be to an Australia in terms of the predators, in terms of Africa with different types of predators? What would you compare it to?
It's a great question. I mean, there are some incredible wetlands across the planet, the Okavango Delta, the Pantanal in South America. But when you look at all of them, they're all ecologically very different based on the megafauna and the creatures around. Candidly and honestly, if you built this in the middle of the Okavango in Africa, you'd never, ever survive it. Whereas Alligator Alcatraz, with the right amount of knowledge, you may be able to survive it. So Africa is the most dangerous. I would say this comes second. And after that, is everything else. But this ecosystem, this Florida ecosystem, has the extremity of the weather that adds to it more so than any of those other locations.
And to kind of continue with that theme, you've been known to kind of get out there in the wild, discovering the yellow caiman, searching for the Tasmanian tiger. Is there anything in the Florida Everglades that we don't know about? Is there an unknown creature potentially lurking?
I wouldn't be surprised if there were a handful of undescribed species in the Everglades. Now, they're not going to be large predators. They're going to be small things like snakes and frogs that we haven't identified to date. And there are lost species like the South Florida rainbow snake, which has been missing for over 100 years, that I believe is still extant in that ecosystem. And it's because the ecosystem is so vast, it's so protected by all these factors that we've discussed here today, that things are able to hide in these swamps going undetected by people, because frankly, people can't spend a lot of time in this environment.
Yeah, and I would give you the floor because I know you are searching for all these different animals, extinct or not extinct, new, recently discovered. Anything else for you that really you're looking forward to in your explorations?
You know, I actually find this Alligator Alcatraz so intriguing because I don't know that anybody has tried to survive with nothing from the heart of the Everglades like that. And of everything that's coming up, I've found this from an ecological standpoint to be very, very interesting. I'd actually love to get down there and try and make that escape route and see what actually happens to someone who has extensive survival and wildlife knowledge in that environment, because I candidly don't know the answer as to whether or not it's actually possible.
Yeah, that's so very true. And we know there are swims from Alcatraz in San Francisco. This one is going to be a little bit different and obviously a little bit more dangerous, but it would be interesting to see. Maybe a theme for a next TV show. We'll see what's up in terms of that for us. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, your insight here on Live Now.
Dang, man. Golly. That is cold. That's a cold breakdown, y'all. So if you just got in, we're doing Punsolved Mysteries, man, on Alligator Alcatraz, which is the new detention center in the Florida Everglades for ICE. That ICE is it's the ICE detention center in the Florida Everglades, man. And all they have is heavy duty tents and trailers. And as you can see, they have bunk beds. You can see it right here. They have bunk beds inside of cages in the tents with barbed wire. Did y'all peep that? That the cages got barbed wire on them inside the tents? I'm like, dang, what the hell? And they're supposed to have 24-hour AC. You know what I mean? Bathrooms. Y'all know this is all going to go bad. Y'all know that. Y'all know this is crazy. They know that. They know that. They know that. Come on. Man, that is like dark. Let's put them in the Everglades and call it Alligator Alcatraz. Trump is different, bro. This dude is really different. All right, let's see what else they got, man. Alligator Alcatraz facility looks like one of America's worst ideas, environmental leader says.
As we've been reporting, President Trump toured a new immigrant detention facility today that he is calling Alligator Alcatraz. The name comes from the location in the Florida Everglades. The facility is surrounded by acres of swampland. It's being built on an airport about 50 miles west of Miami. Governor Ron DeSantis says the first detainees could arrive by tomorrow. However, a group of environmental organizations are suing to block the facility until it undergoes an environmental review. Eve Samples joins us now. She's the executive director at Friends of the Everglades, one of the organizations that is trying to stop the facility from opening. Eve, thank you for joining us. Why did your organization file this lawsuit?
Thank you for having me. So our country's national parks have been called one of America's best ideas, and this sure looks like one of America's worst ideas. So just to review what's transpired over the past week and a half or so, the state of Florida, in conjunction with the federal government, seized the property that is encircled by Big Cypress National Preserve, part of the national park system. And this property is some of the most unique and valuable flora and fauna in all of the southeastern United States. It's a short distance from Everglades National Park as well, and they began quickly moving construction vehicles onto the site, including dump trucks with fill, asphalt trucks, and other equipment, industrial lighting, just over the past week. So here we are today. The facility officially opened. The president visited, And we are not accepting defeat on this front. We think this is a really important moment to evaluate the environmental impacts as required by federal law. And that's why we at Friends of the Everglades, with the Center for Biological Diversity, filed a federal lawsuit on Friday.
Eve, a spokesperson for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said in a statement, quote, "This facility is a necessary staging operation for mass deportations located at a pre-existing airport that will have no impact on the surrounding environment." What's your response to that?
We patently reject that assertion. We've seen the equipment moving into the site. We have now directly seen the light pollution that emanated from the site last night. We've been in touch with members of the Miccosukee tribe who are a few miles away. This area used to be some of the best dark skies in the southeastern United States. Now it looks like a stadium is out where this detention center is operating. And even on top of that, there's a reason that federal law requires government to look before it leaps, to make sure that its actions are not negatively impacting the environment. Under the National Environmental Protection Act, government has to conduct an environmental impact analysis. So if the governor would like to assert that, that's fine. Let's see the proof. Let's conduct this analysis. And we've asked a judge to issue an injunction so that activity at the site can be halted while we see what the impacts are on the environment. Remember, this is in the middle of Big Cypress National Preserve, which is part of the Everglades. The site itself is more than 96% wetlands. This is the drinking water supply for South Florida. There's also confirmation of the endangered Florida panther on the site and many other threatened and endangered species.
But Eve, the governor has said that the first detainees could start arriving as early as tomorrow. Are you concerned you're running out of time? Do you have any other legal options you can pursue?
So we certainly hope the judge acts quickly in response to our injunction. And that said, history can be a really interesting guide in this moment. So our organization, Friends of the Everglades, was founded in 1969 to stop what would have been the world's largest airport from being built at this very site. We won after that single runway was built. That's why the site is largely abandoned. That's why there's only one runway there. So when you look back at that battle, sure, it would have been great to win before that single runway was built, but it would have been a lot worse to win after the whole runway was constructed. So we're hopeful, and
Wow.
Floridians of all stripes, all walks of life, conservatives, environmentalists, hunters, anglers are standing with us on this. This is not a partisan issue. Floridians have invested billions of dollars to protect the Everglades, to restore the Everglades. The state and federal governments have a massive investment to protect, and we're confident that the courts can see it that way.
Somebody just asked a good question, man. Benny T, 316. He said, is this for the criminal illegals? It gotta be. This can't be for like regular, and the illegals and their children and stuff like this. Cannot be. You can't put children here, man. That's wild. And to call it Alcatraz again, like if they're saying it's worse than the regular Alcatraz out here in the Bay, they're saying it's worse. It got to be for the criminals, man. It can't be for just regular. They said no. Lady N said no. It's for regular immigrants. Man, that's weak. They can't put kids here, man. No way. No way. No way. They make putting kids here. Crazy. What? Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Let me see. Let's see, man. Let's see. There you go. 5 hours ago. Okay. Alligator. Man, this is crazy, y'all. This is really crazy, man. Let me put it on today. Let me see something. Let's go. All right, first look inside Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. Let's see how it looks inside, y'all.
Yeah, I got the bag.
I'm moving. Let's keep moving. Guys, come on.
It's like a shot and a half.
I'll take a shot and a half.
Crazy. Okay. All right. Let's see.
You mentioned the dangerous wildlife at the Alligator Alcatraz. Is that a design feature?
Is the dangerous wildlife surrounding the new migrant detention center in Florida on purpose? Well, Jeff, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here and say, yes, the dangerous wildlife is a feature, not a bug. I mean, cruelty is kind of the point with these guys. But also when your administration is preparing to pass a wildly unpopular piece of legislation, you know what? I mean, I bet the president and his advisors would much rather be talking about alligators than the fact that his big, ugly bill is about to strip health care away from millions of people. Maybe that is part of the strategy.
You mentioned the dangerous wildlife at the Alligator.
Yeah, that makes sense. They are putting all the attention on that, on this Alligator Alcatraz. Yeah, Trump is out here wilding. Golly. This is next level right here, y'all. Whoa. To go in here and learn more about the living conditions of where they're putting these people. This is crazy. Man, it's finna be so much that go wrong here. This is finna be out of control. I could see they finna get a lot of pushback for this shit. Man. Look at this. Fox News. Alligator Alcatraz has a nice ring to it. Fox News, man.
All right, meantime, a new migrant detention center is getting a lot of attention, and it's in Florida. The attention is thanks to its very unique security system.
This 30 square mile area is completely surrounded by the Everglades. Presents a efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility because you don't need to invest that much in the perimeter. If people get out, there's not much waiting for them other than alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide.
It's called Alligator Alcatraz, and it's expected to be operational by next month. So joining me now is the man.
I'm telling y'all, dog, this is their version of Squid Games. This is literally like, let's put them out there, y'all, and they're probably running a sick little bets back. They're gonna be running sick bets and all that back there. Cause it's no way. Y'all know this ain't right, bro. Like it's no way that you don't know that a lot of people are gonna be fucked over from this. There's no way you don't know that. They sick, bro. They sick. Hold on. Because this is what a lot of people. Look at Trump, man.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Project 2025.
Trump's Project 2025.
Pennsylvania, how are we doing?
So what is Project 2025? What's it got to do with this man, and why are the Democrats so worried about it? Here is a deep dive into the 900-page blueprint for government that could, it's claimed, reshape, even destroy American democracy. Here it is, a 922-page manifesto. It's written by an influential conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, and it lays out policy proposals should a Republican candidate win this November. And that Republican candidate would be one Donald Trump. Let's begin with the background. Project 2025 dates back to 1973. That's when the Heritage Foundation, based in Washington, D.C., was founded. Their mission, to mold America into a more Christian, conservative state.
Key here is the idea that the Constitution guarantees liberties for each person to do not what they want, but what they ought, according to their understanding of God's law. And that is at the foundation of this entire document. And essentially what this boils down to is a vision of the country that privileges and prioritizes Christians, and a particular version of Christianity.
Heritage came to prominence when the organization wrote their first manifesto in 1981. They called it a mandate for leadership. Essentially, it aimed to roll back the state and unleash free market capitalism. President Ronald Reagan liked the idea so much that he gave a copy to each member of his cabinet to review. The Heritage Foundation claims that among the 2,000 proposals, about 60% of them were implemented by the end of President Reagan's first year in office.
It's no exaggeration to say that you've more than made your mark on American history. Tonight, I thank you, Heritage thanks you, and so does the conservative movement.
The Heritage Foundation has published a mandate for leadership every election cycle for the past 40 years. So what makes this one different? For the other side, for the Democrats, the language in this document is alarming because they think the policies have a dangerous undercurrent. Innocuous policies like the call to restore the family as the center of American life would undermine freedoms, they worry. The document blames US decline on pornography invading school libraries, critical race theory, and gender ideology in school curriculums, all part of what Project 2025 calls the Great Awakening. The policy agenda is one of 4 pillars of the project, and it plans to criminalize pornography, disband the Departments of Education, Homeland Security, and the FBI. It rejects the concept of abortion as healthcare. It proposes the rollback of LGBTQ+ rights, and it ends climate protections. On immigration, the plans include the largest deportation in history, which Donald Trump has also promised to push through. And there's the suggestion that the military could be used against Americans to suppress possible large-scale protests. Beyond that policy agenda, there is also a plan for a personnel database, pre-vetted, ideologically aligned employees. Think of it like a conservative-only LinkedIn. The idea is to create a pool of readily available people to fill federal government positions to assist a new Republican president on day one. Remember that at the moment, federal government positions are not politically appointed or politically aligned. The plan is to install a swathe of politically appointed civil servants. It would be achieved via an executive order, meaning the new president would force the appointments through. It's called Schedule F, and we'll come back to that. The third pillar is a Presidential Administration Academy, an online educational program to train those employees to get them up to speed under a Republican president. And the fourth, final pillar is a 180-day playbook, an action plan for how they'll get things done. These pillars are the structural foundations for what the authors hope is a radically different White House in waiting. The Democrats, the other side, have made Project 2025 a key election attack point.
Project 2025 will destroy America. Look it up.
And they have escalated their efforts to attach Donald Trump directly to the project.
But Donald Trump wants to take our country backward. He and his extreme Project 2025 agenda will weaken the middle class. Like, we know we got to take this seriously. Can you believe they put that thing in writing?
You ever seen a document that could kill a small animal and democracy at the same time? Here it is.
I'm Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow, and this is Project 2025.
It makes it very clear, if Trump gets reelected, that this is what they will do, and they've laid it all out. So we thought it was important to share in very plain language, because most people are not going to read a 900-page policy document, what it actually means for regular people, to draw a contrast. As much energy as there is around Kamala Harris right now that feels fun and joyful and hopeful, I still think it's important that we draw the contrast to who Trump is and what a Trump presidency would mean for Americans.
It's been claimed that the Democrats have isolated $370 million in TV ads to reach voters.
He'll take control. We'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Project 2025 has become a trending topic across social media, spawning videos highlighting the perceived dangers that it poses to the climate, academia, abortion rights, the working class, people of color, and the liberal state. This Project 2025 blueprint is backed by more than 100 conservative groups, and it is presented as a vision built by conservatives for conservatives. We asked the Heritage Foundation for an interview. In an emailed statement, a spokesman said the Project 2025 team is unavailable at the moment for an interview. Now let's go back to Schedule F and stay tuned here because it is complicated, but it is at the very heart of all this. Schedule F was an executive order signed by Donald Trump in 2020 in his last months as president. He never acted on it because he lost the election soon after. But had he actioned it, Schedule F would have given him presidential control over the rights and protections for tens of thousands of civil servants, allowing him to hire and fire them at will. During Trump's first term, he often grew frustrated with federal government employees. He felt they were preventing him from enacting his policy agenda. If they were guardrails, he saw them as barriers.
In 2016, I declared, I am your voice. Today I add, I am your warrior, I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
The order aims to replace government employees with political appointees, those loyal to the president. So a president who takes all this up could fire scientists calling for greater action on climate change or birth control, and replace them with loyal, even unqualified employees who would roll back or dismantle existing policies and without congressional approval.
What you did. This nigga Trump, man. That's a whole nother Punsolved Mysteries, the Trump and Elon beef. That could be a Punsolved Mysteries. The Trump and Elon beef. That nigga used Elon, man. He used Elon up. Now, he gonna hit him where it hurts. Use that nigga. Trump is a cold motherfucker, man.
Reinstating Schedule F is a top priority for Project 2025 and for Donald Trump.
Here's my plan to dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all. And corruption it is. First, I will immediately reissue my 2020 executive order restoring the president's authority to remove rogue bureaucrats, and I will wield that power very aggressively.
And this is where Project 2025 comes back in with their conservative LinkedIn.
March into office and bring a new army of aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state.
Golly.
The plans have become so controversial that Donald Trump has tried to distance himself from the project after months of Democrats sounding the alarm. He's realized maybe that it's become a political liability, and so he's claimed to know nothing of Project 2025 or the people behind it. But how credible is that, really? Trump and Roberts know each other well. Here they are on a private jet together in 2022. Trump has spoken at heritage events. Listen to this endorsement.
With Kevin and the staff, and I met so many of them now, I took pictures with among the most handsome, beautiful people I've ever seen. I didn't like that picture. If you could lose that picture, please, would you, Kevin? But this is a great, no, he says I won't do that. This is a great group, and they're gonna lay the groundwork and detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do and what your movement will do when the American people give us a colossal mandate to save America, and that's coming.
Yet, at a rally in Michigan this summer, he said this.
Like some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. I mean, some of them I know who they are, but they're very, very conservative, just like you have. They're sort of the opposite of the radical left.
So there we are, two entirely contradictory statements by the same man about the same group.
I have nothing to do with
This dude is different, man.
Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
It does seem clear,
Right.
though, that many of Project 2025's policies do overlap with Trump's official policy proposals called Agenda 47. In a conversation with the tech billionaire Elon Musk on X, Trump said that he would dismantle the Department of Education if he wins the White House in November.
And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk, I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states.
I think you're making a good point.
That policy, for one, is included in this Project 2025. On education, the handbook says that federal education policy should be limited and ultimately the Federal Department of Education should be eliminated. The president of the Heritage Foundation has praised what he sees as the dovetailing of Project 2025 and Trump's Agenda 47, saying the overlap is tremendous. When asked for his reaction to Trump's dismissal of Project 2025, he said, "Well, I think that's the sign of a great leader who understands that he's in a terrific political news cycle, so no hard feelings from any of us at Project 2025 about the statement, because we understand that Trump is the standard bearer and he's making a political, tactical decision there." At least 140 people linked to Project 2025 served in some form in Trump's last administration. Reporters for two investigative organisations called Documented and ProPublica have obtained 14 hours worth of private training videos for Project 2025. They found that 29 of the 36 speakers in the videos have worked for Trump in some capacity.
Hello, my name is Jeff Small. I was a presidential appointee in the Trump administration.
I am a former political appointee in the Donald J. Trump administration.
I served as the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at the Department of Homeland Security, and I was also a spokesman at the Department of Justice.
And you stayed until the final hour.
Yeah, shocking that I made it. Yes.
It's amazing.
The spin is that this is an agenda overwhelmingly popular among conservatives. In these rallies among Trump's base, many of the policies seem popular enough, but beyond here, well, not so much. The question, unanswered for now, is whether Project 2025 really does form a blueprint for a Trump second term. If he wins, and it does, well then America will need to brace for fundamental political and societal change.
Oh, God! New America, y'all. The new America. They are trying to take us back. They are trying to take America back. They want to bring back slavery, bro. If they had it their way, they'd get us all up out of here, man. Bring back slavery. Get us all out of here. Y'all voted for Trump? Who voted for Trump in the chat? Who voted for Trump in the chat? Come clean, let's go. Come clean. Who voted? Spread that shit. I did. And I won all faiths. I voted for my pistola. I know some people did. Fun. Trump was talking about slaves today. Man. To the gang. Man. Oh, let me see. Let's see if they. Let's see if he's got. This is 55 minutes. God, let me go short real quick.
And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. And some of the cases we're talking about.
Bro, he is anal. He is anal about getting the immigrants up out of here. He is anal about it, y'all. He is not playing. If it's one thing he's going to do, hold on. Yeah, man. Trump is trying to get everybody up out of here. So you got to go. But this, if you just tuned in, man, we just reacted to the Alligator Alcatraz, and that's how we ended up here. That's how we ended up at Project 2025. We're now here. Alligator Alcatraz, probably the craziest detention center I've seen, for sure. And to think that they're going to be putting people there in the middle of those conditions is crazy. That is crazy. I want to see how that pans out. I want to see 90 days, just 90 days, how things pan out. Short term, just 90 days, how are things going. I feel like this is going to be one of those situations where it's going to get exposed years down the line, all the stuff they hid. There's going to be a lot of stuff hidden and things that happen that they're not going to bring to the light. It's just, come on, man. Just y'all heard the man explain all the animals, the insects, all the deadly things that are out there. That it's just like, it's common sense what's going to happen, bro. You are stepping into the middle of it's common sense what's going to happen there, bro. Common sense, man. Yeah. That's wild. Hold on. I want to go back to this Project 2025. I want to get an update, though.
Project 2020.
I want to see if they got it. Let's see something. Wait. This might. I'm not trying to do an hour reaction. Let me see if they got something.
President Trump started his new term with a barrage of executive orders, a record 92 in his first 2 months alone. And a majority mirror ideas in Project 2025. That's the 922-page radical conservative blueprint that Trump repeatedly distanced himself from on the campaign trail.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
I've never read it, and I never will.
I've said 100 times, I know nothing about it.
But now,
a number of the policies that he's pushing out at breakneck speed are almost identical to what Project 2025 wanted to impose.
Here are some of the notable ways Trump's first few months are aligning with Project 2025 and what that can tell us about his second term.
One of the biggest themes in the Project 2025 document was dismantling the federal bureaucracy, essentially attacking the administrative state.
In fact, it's one of the big promises made throughout the playbook. The next conservative administration should be prepared to dismantle the administrative state.
But at the same time, this is something that Republicans for decades have said they wanted to do. They argue the government's too big, too sprawling, involved in too many things, it's wasting too much taxpayer money.
Trump has wasted no time reducing the size of the government and changing how it's staffed. Of his more than 90 executive orders since taking office, more than a quarter are focused on addressing the power of the federal government and the makeup of its workforce. And most of those have similarities to ideas in Project 2025, which was created by the conservative think tank Heritage Foundation.
Even though Trump tried to distance himself from Project 2025 during the campaign, he spent a lot of time talking about the quote-unquote deep state and railing against government bureaucracy.
In his Agenda 47, which outlined his campaign platform, Trump promised to stop woke and weaponized government and to
dismantle the deep state and reclaim our democracy from Washington corruption once and for all.
But Project 2025's roadmap also included specific actions to help the president remake the federal bureaucracy. It recommended reinstating the Schedule F classification, making it easier to fire policy-making employees, which Trump did on his first day back in the Oval Office.
Out of there.
And Project 2025 advocated for ending the independent status of certain agencies like the FTC or SEC. In February, Trump signed an executive order that asserted authority over those agencies. One of Trump's Day 1 executive orders renamed the United States Digital Service to the Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon Musk.
Project 2025 did not call for the creation of a specific Department of Government Efficiency, but there's a lot of overlap in what DOGE does and what Project 2025 wanted to do.
In other executive orders, Trump empowered DOGE to help reduce the size of the federal workforce by approving hiring, consulting on new agency regulations, and scrutinizing agency payments. That echoes Project 2025, which called for eliminating functions and programs that are duplicated, handcuffing the bureaucracy, and restoring fiscal limits.
In some cases, DOGE has gone much further than what Project 2025 actually envisioned. For example, the entire dismantlement of USAID.
At times, Trump has also gone further than the playbook on immigration, though many of his ideas have aligned.
We're going to have the largest deportation operation in the history of our country.
There were numerous proposals in Project 2025 that President Trump could have pulled from if he wanted to, that would help him with the big deportation effort and other immigration restrictions. But really, anyone who's heard President Trump speak knows that immigration is a huge priority for him.
Trump has signed 8 executive orders related to immigration, and many of them echo recommendations in Project 2025, like sending troops to the southern border and declaring a national emergency, and putting sanctions on countries that refuse to take back deportees.
However, he's gone much further in some areas. For example, one of the first things he did was sign an executive order that would ban birthright citizenship.
While Trump promised to get rid of it during his campaign, Project 2025 didn't outright call for ending birthright citizenship, which most legal scholars agree is clear in the Constitution. But Project 2025 did call for making the government hard targets for woke culture warriors. The word woke appears over dozens of times, and it's a favorite of Trump's too.
Considering how woke your party has become, Joe Biden's woke policies, there will be no wokeness. We're not going to be woke.
He argued there were too many federal agencies who were adopting these DEI policies that he say were making the government less efficient and making the government less fair.
About 10% of Trump's executive orders focused on wiping out DEI initiatives in the government, schools, and even the private sector. All of those orders mirrored proposals from Project 2025, like terminating federal DEI programs, recognizing only male and female sexes, and emphasizing recruiting federal workers only on merit, not race, sex, or religion.
One of the reasons that President Trump...
I'm with that one. Hold on. Oh, I pressed the wrong thing, y'all. Hold on. Let me go back. Where was we at? Dang. I'm with that one. Only recognizing female and male.
Regulations and scrutinizing agency payments. That echoes Project 2025, which called for eliminating functions and programs that are focused on wiping out DEI initiatives in the government, schools, and even the private sector. All of those orders mirrored proposals from Project 2025, like terminating federal DEI programs, recognizing only male and female sexes, and emphasizing recruiting federal workers only on merit, not race, sex, or religion.
One of the reasons that President Trump and the authors of Project 2025 are so focused on getting what they call the wokeness out of government is they believe this is a big liberal agenda item.
DEI would have ruined our country, and now it's dead.
And so they think by pulling this out and by stopping this, they'll get the federal government back, into their camp, and it'll make it harder for these agencies to resist what President Trump wants to do with his agenda.
That agenda overlapped with Project 2025 even before Trump took office in January.
So his supporters are saying, well, this is what he campaigned on. These ideas are his ideas and the things that he said he would execute.
In a statement, the White House said Americans would be better served learning about how Trump has swiftly delivered on key campaign promises in his first few months. And the Heritage Foundation said that Trump's current actions aren't about its recommendations in Project 2025, and that he and his team deserve the credit.
Democrats, however, are saying, wait a second, there's too much overlap. This is exactly what we told you was going to happen.
Especially since Trump hired multiple key architects and contributors of Project 2025 to be in his administration. Some of them had even served in his first one.
Plain and simple, this is Project 2025. Project 2025 by another name.
And the project's former director agrees. Paul Dance, who was ousted from the Heritage Foundation during the 2024 campaign, told Politico that Trump's current agenda is beyond his wildest dreams. Still, there are parts of the conservative blueprint that Trump has stopped slightly short of embracing, like national restrictions on abortion.
One thing that the overlap of some of Trump's proposals with Project 2025 should tell us going into the next parts of his administration, is that there really are no ideas that he might deem to be too controversial or too conservative. He's doing so much so fast that it's hard for his critics to push back, and he sees that it can actually be quite effective to kind of go for it, especially in the first 100 days of his administration.
He is not playing. He is not playing. I think everybody knew it was coming. Everybody seen this coming. That man, he's moving at 100 miles per hour, y'all. But Trump has it out for these immigrants more than anything. He is not playing about that. He's trying to make America great again, which means make America white again. Make America all white again. You know what I mean? But let's start right here. Let's get all these people up out of here first. Let's get all the immigrants and let's get them up. And this is how we're going to do it. The scare tactic. We're going to put them at the Alligator Alcatraz. How the hell? Now listen, somebody asked a question earlier if you wasn't in here. They said, is it for the illegals as the criminals? And somebody else said, no, it's for all. Regular. That is crazy that you're putting just regular immigrants in something that's worse than Alcatraz, where criminals and murderers are. That is their way of letting you know, look, motherfucker. This nigga Trump is crazy. I see that shit going so bad, though, man. I don't know. Somebody said a good point right here. America cannot run without immigrants. What's your thought on that? What's your thought on that? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure we have some people that come from parents of, you know, or that his kids are immigrants in the chat, or parents was kids of immigrants in the chat. Like, what is the goal once, okay, we got all the immigrants out, who are we banking on here? Well, boys, go get interested. Go get interested. It's going to get very interesting, brother. You're going to realize just how important immigrants are to America. Now, getting the criminal ones out, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. If they're the criminal ones, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Y'all go back. Golly. All right, y'all. I think that's my time, man. Punsolved Mysteries, man. Alligator Alcatraz. Ace Pit, what it do? If you rock with the movement, it's time to level up. Hit that join button and become a member today. Get exclusive access to behind-the-scenes videos, members-only live streams, and custom emotes you can flex in the chat. Support the ABP Network and tap in today. Members only. Let's get it.